And we are live. So I don't know if you want to run that back real quick, but I think that'd be interesting just to talk about real quick. But if you don't want to, you can jump into the book.
And Joe.
No,
Fire.
not that part. Not that part. The being disciplined part.
Lemonade. The pink lemonade is fire.
Okay.
But this to all the listeners out there that want some new juice to drink. This is definitely the sparkling lemonade. They got the raspberry, the pink lemonade. They got a limeade, and you put it in the fridge for about an hour. Fire. But no, we just talking about discipline. Oh, by the way, I'm Tracy Pugh. Entrepreneur, developing creative. Today is the 30th, April 30th.
Cheers. Cheers. My name is Anthony Hadley Jr. I do random things here and there. Sometimes I create.
Procreate or you create?
Huh? I don't procreate. I do not. I do not.
You said you create.
No.
Okay. Is there like
no.
I should know about? Man.
No. Brother, don't put that on me.
Yes, sir. No, I had to throw that one in there. You set it up for me. But now we just talking about how being disciplined is just so important, especially during this time where it's easy to develop bad habits. You can develop real bad habits because you got a lot of time on your hands to pretty much do as you please. So, we just talking about how like now is the time. I don't drink a lot, very rarely, but this is the time in my life where I vow not to even, not even have a beer every now and then with dinner or a glass of wine, because this is when habits start to form, where you have a lot of time on your hands. You don't have your normal schedule. So it's kind of the opposite for me. I feel like this is the time when you cut out everything, like little distractions, even like TV, like watching too much TV or, I don't know, social media, whatever you may be doing that's occupying your time, keeping you from being productive. I think this is a great time to kind of strengthen those muscles. And you were kind of agreeing with that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm thankful for it, but I don't know how, like, this would be the perfect time to, for people to like to smoke it. This whole month has been 420, so I've indulged in everything that I would indulge in normally, less in this time than I would have in any other time. And I mean anything, like unhealthy food. Yeah, I think snacks, like alcohol, anything else. So yeah, I can't take credit for that. It's just what happened, and I'm definitely grateful for that. Because like you said, it could have definitely went the other way. I have a bit of a binging personality at times, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because usually I just like to binge on work. But you apply that to a negative habit, and it can take you down a deep dark path. So, yeah, brother. But tell me about that book.
Key System. I just started reading.
There you go.
The Master Key System by book right here. It just came in a few days ago.
Who's it by again?
T. Haynes.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about it. Sell us on the book. Give us the synopsis. Your favorite part.
So I can't sell it too much, but basically, it's just, there's exercises in here to try to keep you focused on your goals, intentional with how you pursue your goals, how you pursue your life. So this book is just like it's a short read. I mean, it's really small print, so I think it's like 156 pages, but let's double that because the font is super small. I don't know if anybody can see that.
Super
small. So, but yeah, I'm excited about this book. There's a few of my buddies. We all decided to read this book. And
is that their group, the Thursday group?
Once a month, and it's just like a men's group, I guess, is the simplest way to put it. And yeah, so we try to grow. You know, growing is very discipline. It takes a lot of, it takes work, and it takes sharpening the areas you may not be sharp at times. You know, to be well rounded. So taking the time to read to read something that's gonna make you a better person in the world. And change your perspective too. I think it's real easy to kind of get stuck in your habits on thinking. No matter how you think, even if you think
Right.
very positive or you're a very uplifting person, it's real easy to see the world from just that perspective when you don't switch. I think reading articles, seeing other people's input on a way to view life, a way to treat people, a way to grow. I think it's always good. And I, it was funny. I was talking to my buddy yesterday. He was in Minnesota, and we were just talking about how, like, we talked about a lot, but we really just, one of the main things that stuck out in the conversation was how if you don't use it, you lose it. Especially when it comes
Yes.
to, like, just education as a whole. Like, I haven't been, the longer you're from any kind of organized educational system, the more difficult it is to kind of like retain maybe some of those habits you had when you were doing homework every day, writing papers every day, just
The brain
learning
is a
new
muscle.
information. Yeah, so it's just like, it's weird because I'm actually in class. I'm in class right now pursuing, trying to pursue a new career. So I'm learning a bunch of medical stuff, terminologies. I have zero background. And it's pushing me to learn so much more vocabulary, and how important vocabulary is, and understanding words and root words, and just pretty much very when you look at very intelligent people, very smart people, their vocabulary and their understanding for words and how to use words is usually like super super advanced. So yeah, it's just kind of cool, just kind of get back in that mindset. It's kind of more difficult because when you do have your work and you do have different things, it's like you have to really find the time to study. And we were just talking, honestly, just like 30 minutes.
Fill Kevin in on what you're talking about.
What up, Kev? I'll go ahead and introduce yourself, man. I'm over here just running my mouth.
But no, he's on to something. So after he introduces himself, you jump back. Can you hear us, Kevin?
Yeah, but like I said, I was coming in because I'm gonna be on mute. So
that's all right. We're just introduce yourself and you can go back to mute.
Kevin Grant for the fourth time.
For the first time we heard it. Thank you. All right, go back to mute.
Basically, I was saying about like the importance of taking that time, that 30, 40 minutes a day to learn a new word, to read a new book, to read up on current events, to expand your vocabulary, just to stay sharp. It's like, even me, like when I started reading again and just trying to comprehend, I'm like, man, like it's been a while. It's kind of like I got to dust the dust off a little bit. I've dabbled in, I'm no scholar, but I've definitely had my share of writing papers and reading books and trying to pass classes. And now it's different because now I can study things I'm actually interested in.
Yeah.
It may not. It could be. I could read about film all day. Just read up on it, and then become a master at film. So it really is kind of cool now as an adult. You're not really forced to learn a certain curriculum and being like, hey, you need to learn all these. You need to spend so much time in all these different classes. You can really just focus on what you want, but become and master it. Ironic, Master Key System, the book I'm reading. I wonder if I just broke that whole book. So pretty much, you just gotta, be consistent with that time you put in it. And we learned that too. I mean, now, these calls are becoming more fluent, 2:00. We're making it happen. I mean, Kev, obviously got some stuff going on, but he's still on the call with us.
Yep.
And that's what builds these
consistency is key.
Making us stronger. What'd you say?
So consistency is key.
Key, we stand on the key today. It's all about the key. The key is a sign. That was a whole nother key.
You're funny.
But yeah, well, what about you? Like, how do you feel? Like, I know you've dabbled in like seminars. You told me you want seminars and you taking a few classes. And I know you always, like, in different subjects you're just learning or you're reading about it. Do you feel like you've ever stopped and like kind of got rusty, or do you feel
Oh
like
yeah.
you've just been
And
consistently learning?
two things, and I was thinking about that as you were talking. Like I think like as adults, I think it's important too, and it's beautiful to have the luxury of learning how you best learn. Because like I said, for me, I understand how I retain knowledge and then how much time and energy I can give to a subject that isn't like my focus. Because I've taken so many classes at UCLA, and most of them I didn't finish because I'm like, yo, it sounds good starting, and then 2, 3, 4 weeks in, but then by like week 5 or 6, I'm like, yo, I got something else to do. So I've realized that for me, I'd rather do a weekend or a 2-week intensive or go to a workshop, because I am the type of person, especially when because like even it was film, most of them were film and screenwriting, but like I'm doing what they want me to do. And I can do that, but I can only do it for so long, I've learned, if it doesn't serve the purpose that I want. Which part of it is like the patience and the discipline and me having the luxury to just walk away from that class. But I've also learned, like when I'm in a situation where it's like, okay, I'm going to buckle down and do this and just immerse myself in this for this shorter period of time, I will immerse myself more and deeper, and then I will come away with more information. Whereas for me, the longer I go with something, the more naturally, as me and Kev always talk about, our creative ADD will take me in a different direction. So yeah, so I think the benefit now is, so yes, I've gotten rusty in the traditional education system, but I've also had the luxury of learning how I best learn. Like, and something I learned about myself that really sucked as a kid is starting off the blocks, like the most simplest thing will not click for me. And I always feel stupid trying to ask questions. But also, once I get over that initial hurdle, like I learn stuff very quickly. Like I can pick up, like I got into barbering because I thought I was just good at it. I didn't realize till later on, I just picked things up fast. And even the first 6 months of barbering in school, I was trash. Filmmaking, I didn't, when I first started, I couldn't like understand all the stuff when I was buying all the books. But once I got the grasp of it, like I kind of took off. Same thing like podcasting. It took me a while to figure out. So I just had to say, like, I have to know where my strengths and my weaknesses are. My weaknesses are like grasping something early on. So I have to know, especially like when it's even like something technical, and like when we used to do CrossFit. Like if I go in somewhere, I feel stupid because I see the move, I understand the move, but it may not resonate with me, and I have to ask people, and they're looking at me like I'm stupid. I'm like, I know, just bear with me. But when I realize that, I know that is a flaw that I have, and I then will not let that flaw deter me from seeing something through. So rusty, but I've also learned what works best for me, so I know how to approach things. I know how to not let certain setbacks deter me from stopping, or deter me from finishing. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's like you said, that's the journey, And I mean, even me, there's still subjects. I mean, I forget. I'm taking some other classes right now, And that's the thing, is like I realize that, like you said, like for you, it's like you take it and you realize, like, if you have the time or you don't have the time, you may stick it out. And I get it, because when these classes are drawn out and there's no like real light at the end of the tunnel, you're just really taking it for self-development most of the time. You're not taking it for some type of film degree or something along those lines. So usually there's like a carrot being in classes or time when you really don't want to do it because there's something at the end of it. Now it's like I'm literally taking this so I can learn something and potentially use it in the future. And even the class that I take now, like I'm just realizing, there were things about myself, like just being a little bit more organized, or taking the time to find time to read these different chapters. And it may not even be long reads. It's like, that's the thing. You get to a point. Sorry, my garden's coming through real quick. Give me a sec.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you get to a point where I close the window. Give me a sec.
That's good. Kev, you still doing them bicep curls over there?
All right, that's a little little better.
Yeah, I am. That's just got a lot going on.
I understand. I had to say something to get you to respond, and I knew exactly what to do.
Gotta apologize for my presence.
Yeah, well, just so you know, this is gonna. I think we're on like a 40-minute time limit anyway. So this one's gonna be a short one. So if
Cool.
you want to hop on a little for a quick second, we ain't gonna hold you long. But if you can't right now, we also understand. We appreciate you.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna give me a second.
No, even just just do what you gotta do.
All right.
Go ahead, Tracy.
Shoot, yeah. So just learning that about myself when it comes to those classes, and taking the time. I think we touched on it in a few of the other recordings, like you like really being organized and persistent in your schedule and your day to day is so it's so important. And like the more things that pop into your life, the more responsibility, the harder that stuff becomes. It's like, okay, well,
Sure.
now it's unmotivating. I'm unmotivated to read that, but now it's like, okay, well, now I got to go to work, and then it's like now I have another responsibility. I'm gonna have a few to grow. So that's why you got to really figure out where you're going to channel your energy. I think that's what a long time we kind of focus on. We're like, you know what? For you, like you were saying, it's like you take that class and you realize there's not a lot of value in you channeling your energy into that. So you might take a step back and go, you know what? I'd rather learn this in like a weekend seminar versus a 12-week class. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think both of them they both have their value. I mean, there's nothing like taking a long class and the discipline that takes. There's nothing like, I've been to both. I've been to seminars for the weekend, and I've gained a lot of it. I gained a lot of experience. But even that, like, just thinking back on the weekend, maybe I think it's like a week, the minimum like retreat I've been on, and like the classes. You gotta hold on to that fire. That's the thing. Like if you're not using that information, if you're not using that information like soon after, while you're in the class or soon after, you're gonna lose it anyway. You're gonna have to relearn that stuff. And I think that's why our original point is you can't ever stop learning, because then you have to relearn everything. And that's a lot. That is a lot.
You're right.
I just rambled on. I hope that made sense to anybody.
It had some substance to it. That's why we let you go. So I asked the question. I'm interested to hear, at least from you. Kev too busy doing his Bane thing right now with his face mask on, doing his push-ups with his baby on his back. But what are you looking forward to, or how do you see your life like having changed, and just how do you see your life post quarantine, post COVID-19 and all that?
So, that's a good question. So that's another one. I talk to a lot of people. I break up all these people. I talked to my brother yesterday, and one of the themes like kind of we've been talking about is our 5 and 10 year plan. And like this, just kind of sitting down and writing that out and kind of seeing what that's going to look like. And that's kind of something I'm focusing on right now. It's like one of my personal development themes is like, okay, in 5 years, where do I want to be financially, emotionally, in my relationships, in my health, and then in 10 years where I want to be, and just kind of write those things out. And that way I'm at least in the same, like I'm at least in the same building on trying to accomplish my goals. Because so many times, like you look back on something you're trying to do, and you're not even in the same vicinity. You need to be in building B when you're really in building C.
I'm sorry.
There you go. Building C. So just realize, and I think that's why the plan is so good, like that yearly plan, that 5-year plan, that 10-year plan. And it's not in the sense of like, hey, at this age, I need to be here at this point in my life, and if I'm not here, I'm a failure. That's kind of like, but it's like looking like, oh wow, I'm trying to be here, and I haven't done one thing to accomplish that goal. I haven't even signed up for a seminar. I haven't even taken a class, and I'm trying to go to grad school for instance. I'm not, but say I was, and I wasn't taking any classes. I wasn't taking the test to try to get enrolled, and then I look back in 2 or 3 years and go, man, why haven't I been accepted to grad school? I haven't done anything to try to even do it. I hadn't even went to talk to a counselor. I didn't even apply. I didn't even see how much it was going to cost. And it's like a lot of times we get stuck in the mindset because we just move so quickly, especially in LA, in New York, and all these places where there's so much to do. Everyone's just hurry, 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 hurry. I'm trying to get here. And we move, but we're not really moving. You know what I'm saying? Those people that's moving quick, but they ain't going nowhere. So I think that's the value in kind of sitting down, planning out how, where, what you want your life to look like on that 5-10 year plan. I don't know how do y'all feel about that?
So no. So now that you've done that, how do you see your life post COVID-19?
I mean, I haven't finished mine.
I'm not talking about. That's why I'm not asking 5-10. I'm saying, like, let's say everything goes back to normal tomorrow, which of course we've said it won't in the last episode. How, just as far as like everything you've experienced, you've thought about, what, how do you see your life? Like, what are you looking forward to doing? What has changed? What do you not want to do? What do you not want to take with you from this time?
Me, like, I'm super reflective in everything I do. So it's like, okay, well, like any natural disaster, any like crisis, the first thing I look at personally is like, oh man, well, how was I not prepared? And not just with food, but just like, did I have enough money saved up? Did I have enough supplies? Did I have, enough resources? Like, and I think for me, like realizing like, wow, okay, well, I mean, clearly we're on April 30th. We're still in isolation and we're not out of this crisis, but potentially looking towards the future that we will get out of this crisis and we will move forward to some type of normalcy, even if it's not the same normalcy we had before, that my life will look something like, I'm still pursuing my career. I'm still an entrepreneur, or I have a career that I'm extremely passionate about. I have a home, I have a family, I have resources. I think maybe now, I've always been a super saver. I've always been like looking like to the future or planning, or like, hey, like maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should cut back on that. I think now it might even be more like, okay, well, am I ready for another pandemic? Instead of being ready, like emergency, we'll go, oh, hey, do you have an emergency fund? Hey, am I ready for another pandemic? And that'll kind of be the standard of how prepared I am. And I'm not saying like soon as it's over, I'm gonna go and stock up on a bunch of like toilet paper and food and first aid kits and not spend any money. I'm just saying like that's gonna be the goal, like in the back of my mind, like, oh, okay, well, something can happen, and let me prepare myself as best as I can. So I think preparation is gonna be big for me. It's always been something, close to me. I'm gonna continue to pursue that, and I think even in a more intense way. Like before, it was like, oh, I don't want to eat this type of food. I'm gonna be a vegan, or I'm gonna run. But I think even now, it's like the standard's gonna be, I need to be at this body weight. Just because I don't need. I need to see medically where I need to be. Just so if something does happen to me, I have the best chance possible to fight the disease or to get over it or to get help. So I think for me, that's gonna be like the push. Is like not being, the thought was I'm gonna get there when I get there, but now it's like a priority. I need to be there yesterday. As far as like where I am physically, and then I think another one that's kind of been in my mind is, I've always thought this, and I'm sure we all have, like, you got to live every day like you're foolish. Tomorrow's not guaranteed, like all those little cliches. I think really just kind of like stop or pushing stuff too much forward. It's kind of like the opposite of what I said about the 5-10 year plan. But just kind of not waiting to do certain things if I can. If there are controllable situations, control them where I'm like, okay, well, even though this might not be the ideal situation, but I'd rather do this now than potentially plan for the future because the future is so unknown. I think, doing things that I would be like, oh, I'm gonna do that in a year or two, I might just go do it and then maybe do it again, even like even if I'm not ready, at least I'm gonna try to experience it. So I'm rambling today. You guys are more welcome to jump in.
Sunday fun day.
Sunday fun day. So what about you, Kev? You ready to jump in yet, or you still doing your
Nah, I wouldn't. You wouldn't see my face if I was still.
That's what I thought. You got to get him included while he can.
What question would you like me to address? The last one?
Yes.
What he just asked me? Want to re-ask it, Anthony?
No, I mean I know what he had. I mean for the audience,
Go ahead.
I would say I guess really the post is kind of how I want to correction. The way in which I'm attacking everything now, I want to maintain that. What that means is, and I think I caught snippets of what Tracy was saying about, how out here sometimes you'll have people that in theory are doing things, but they're not taking any steps to. And also, I think you spoke to actually just kind of doing some things and kind of learning as you go. And so what I've done while in quarantine is it's just been a bias towards action. So a lot of times I'd have this paralysis from overanalysis. So I would take what I would think would be research or taking my time would only be an excuse for me to put more barriers in the way for me to act. So in quarantine, what I've been doing is the opposite. So it's like, okay, I got an idea, whatever it is, bam. It almost like Silicon Valley, they talk about iteration, right? Iterate as fast as possible. And that's kind of because you also, not only do you learn about yourself and you learn a different skill, what happens is you become bolder in the things you attack. And from last time we talked, it speaks to like Kanye, right? Like people tell you different things you can't do. And a lot of times what will happen is the longer you take, the doubt seeps in, other people seep in. But if you're busy doing the work and everything is action, right? You're taking actions, whether they're minute or large, you get some payoff, whether that's in learning where your deficiency is, whether that's learning a new skill, whatever it is. So in doing that, I've taken that approach. And then also I want to continue just this whole thing of not looking at stuff as mistakes. So like for every quote unquote mistake I've made, there's definitely been a lesson in that. And when framing anything, right, any objective, any goal, any desire, in a way that it's either you're gonna come from it. So instead of it just being a waste of time, I've just been like, well, it just didn't work. It either didn't work out to how I saw it, or it wasn't what I thought it was. But I either learned about myself, I learned something new, or I learned something that I can use probably down the line that I don't even know it. So that my big two, I guess it's almost like a new philosophy, I guess. Because now instead of taking too much time, it's like, you could take a couple questions to assess like, all right, is this worth, my time, the effort that I need to put in, but making that first step quick as possible, and just having a bias towards action and not beating myself up, I think his even in quarantine paid dividends. So I just take it out into the world. We talked about the silence of self, but then, going out into the world to chaos. So I just want to bring that back out.
Oh yeah. No, and I agree with a lot of what you say. Like one thing, like I never broke it down to people, but something I know about myself is typically when I have like a big idea, I may talk about it a lot, but it may not come to fruition early. But I know typically I'm if it's something big,
Mhm.
because it's like that, whatever it is, the R&D, the figuring it out, perfecting the craft, wanting it to be a certain way before I take it to market, or the iterations. Like by the time I do it, it's like 2 years later. So I've always
Mhm.
known like everything that I do is big. It's like, oh, this and that, but like, I won't really hit my stride into it until like 2 years later. Which when I was 16 and I started my first clothing line, that's fine. Start getting
Right.
in your 30s, it's like, all right, I can do this, but now it's not efficient. So speaking to what you just said, I can't remember exactly how you put it, but um, just trying to like to have those iterative improvements. Like I was just sharing in the group chat, I just did the second pilot for my podcast, and I actually spoke to it. I called the episode "The Double Down" just because how I started off the episode. I spoke to like a lot of times, and this speaks to what you were saying. As far as creatives, we will start something. Not even just creatives, any of us. We'll start something based off of feeling. We get this hypeness, and we want to do it. But the more we wait, and the more that doubt, the more we wait, the doubt seeps in, and then that feeling starts to fade, and then everything else starts to fade. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this episode specifically to push through before that happens. But to go further, and speaking to what you were saying, I share with you guys on how I'm going to do live. Just because I'm like, well, I could do it. And this goes to like what Tracy said in another episode is like, giving your best effort. So I wouldn't normally do it based out of fear. I'm like, oh, this isn't my image. I wouldn't normally do this. And I don't want to be in front of the camera just by my nature. But I'm like, if I can do it, and I found out I have almost all the pieces of equipment to do it, um, and it's on my mind and it's in my heart, even if I don't do it forever, why not try and do it now? Like, because there is no time like now. So I'm on that definitely on that wave. And then for me personally, as much as I'm still trying to build everything that I do, literally and metaphorically in house, I definitely want to go out there. That was my plan with a lot of other stuff. It's going to be like a lot of travel content because that was my way to get myself out there in the world. So even with all this crazy shit going on, knock on wood, unless another bigger pandemic pops up, like I definitely want to get out there and safely, but take the time to explore, because what I also realize is that I don't know that a year from now I'm still going to want to be in California. So that gives me the urgency to want to start, exploring California more, or places that are more easily accessible to California. Doesn't mean I won't be here, but like Tracy said, don't put stuff off for another year if you can responsibly and safely do it now. So I think on two fronts, I'm looking at things like Tracy said, plan for the future, but like still live in the now. So I definitely, my living in the now is taking those strides and taking those chances with like creative stuff, like doing a live video when I never even wanted to be the host of anything to begin with, but also while I'm building everything in my sanctuary of being in the house, like go out there and explore and meet people. Like they say, you should live like nobody's watching, even though like I want to live in interacting with other people. Like I need to take my mind out of it when I'm out there interacting with people. Just go out there and just be and live in the moment to a certain extent. So that's kind of like I definitely I take what Tracy said as far as like, I definitely want to be more prepared, but I also know where I am prepared, and I also know that all this stuff could be gone in an instant. So go out there and live a little. That's where I'm at right now. That's how I feel my life is changing, what I'm taking from all of this once things get a little bit more back to normal.
Well put, both of y'all.
Thank you, sir. So what else we got in this? We only gonna go for like another 5 to 10. So I'll let y'all figure out where y'all want to go with it.
I mean, we supposed. Oh yeah, we supposed to talk about the deal with the Ball brothers.
Ball Rock Nation.
Oh yeah.
And
I think it's legit. Like the one thing I always think about is I remember I had seen I really like what they're doing, and I've always wanted them to succeed. even though I knew it wasn't going to pan out, I always wish I could have bought a pair of their shoes just to say I invested in them, because it was right. Their shoes came out right around the time I bought my first pair of Yeezys, which were whole resale, which I spent like $400. So I've always been of the mindset that I think our issue is just as a culture is and Jay-Z's is the one that kind of spoke to it in one of his freestyles, like we're so quick to give our money to everybody else rather than investing in ourselves. So I like the fact that the person that is like pushing that, I don't want to say agenda like a bad thing, but the agenda of investing and building ourselves and one another up is the person that's kind of going to be the representative for that family, or at least the brother. So I'm with it 100%.
I mean, some thinking it's kind of like a reinvestment itself, and also, Jay-Z when he raps and stuff, and not just a single, because I know it's a whole team, Rock Nick, but when all I ever just remember is there was a song with him and Pharrell, and it's like, where's the domino? It's only a few, like the high I go, few of us, the high I go. And then he was like,
Murder
we're
excellent.
gonna need a million more. Yeah, there you go. And I always feel like Jay-Z is doing like all the arms, you know what I mean? Like he's telling you almost like when Pac was like, get your money up and we'll kick it, like just a motivational type thing, you know what I mean? Like, come on, like this is for you to come and get, but you just gotta do it, you know what I mean? And I feel like that collaboration between them two is just gonna spread it and build upon it even more. So I'm with it.
And it's perfect timing, because I always felt like even before Lonzo got to UCLA that Melo was going to be the best of the three. And who knows what's going to happen in the NBA season, but I imagine they're still going to have the draft around the same time. So it's a good timing for them too.
Definitely.
Tracy,
what you thought about it, Tracy?
You brought it to us.
Yeah.
I think it's a real good move for the guys and as a whole.
The hometown. They're from your hometown, right?
I'm a Chino Hills native, but it's definitely. And I think as a unit, you're able to go further. As long as egos don't get too big, you're able to go further than you would by yourself. So I mean, I think the potential is unlimited. And those guys, they had a rough start, just because anytime you're a pioneer, you're doing something for the first time. I mean, you got three all-star brothers playing basketball. You got a dad who's trying to be an agent and a marketing agent and a recruit and everything, and a father at the same time. It's gonna look different. And I think as a whole, he's definitely set the platform, even on things to do and things not to do. When you're the first person there, usually, for the most part, people go, you know what, you made it, but I would have went to the right a little bit instead of going straight through it. So I think there is a lot of grace in that, and I'm excited to see what the guys do, and hopefully they have nice long careers. So.
Amen.
Right.
You as a father over here, I mean, do you feel like that's? I mean, not even as an athletic perspective, because we haven't even talked about this. What's your opinion on pushing athletics for your little ones? Do you feel like his blueprint is something you would?
You got 10 minutes, just so you know. Sorry.
Okay.
I say that again. I missed the back end, Tracy.
From LeVar Ball, anything from his toolbox that you gonna keep on you for fatherhood? Like, is there anything you was like, man, he did that really well, or you just feel like he was just too much, or it's interesting to get your perspective.
I look at it this way. Although we're a lot alike, and a lot just me in general, humanity. I respect people for their individual, but why he is how he is, who he is, because a part of that is how his sons are, where they are. You know what I mean? But I know he got back just for being so outspoken and loud. But I mean, society where we live in, they like to pick and choose who they vilify. And all I can remember is when, like, who's, favorite players of all time, favorite athletes, and probably favorite people just from interviews and stuff like that. I haven't met him in person, but he talked about when he was in his room, and I'm using this story to answer the question, but back then, like, cornerbacks weren't getting top contracts and stuff like that. And he was in his room. He's like, I'm gonna take care of my mom and that fact. And he was like, he created Neon Dion. And we all know when we was coming up.
Hit him with that must be the money.
Yeah, when we was coming up, like, that was something you look up to because he was just, no matter what your economic status was, like if he was black, he played ball. There was just something about, he just had a pizzazz about you, right? So it was like, he brought that out. And, middle America, apple pie America, whatever you want to call it, they thought that was the word. Like, I remember being a kid and the announcers be like, well, if he just wasn't so flashy and this, that, and the other. And it's like, man, that's culture, man. That's like, that's like a superpower in that. You know what I mean? And when I saw that, like, shit, even if it's to be so confident in ability and not to be quiet about it, because they always want you to shoot and be quiet and this, but do the opposite of what they wanted and still deliver on that. I was like, shit, you say what you want, because if you are loud and outspoken like that and you prove it and it's done, then there's no argument, right? That's just a personality. You just might not like their personality, but what are you gonna argue against? So back to LeVar Ball, he been saying about his sons going to NBA, yada 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 yada. Like when they was in high school, right? And where are they now? They positioning themselves to all be there, to have lucrative deals, and to do what he set out for them. And then hopefully it's part of what they want too. But they also find their own personalities in it. But nah, man, I can't be mad at that, man. Well,
and
go ahead. Any if you confident like that and you deliver, it just is what it is. Like, you believe in yourself. And there's different types, right? You could be silent and do that too. But that's not to say one is better. It may rub people wrong way. But go back to episode 1, we talked about authenticity and being real and stuff like that. Sometimes, you just gotta let it bleed out a little bit and show people that you can talk it and walk it,
And the only thing I'll add to that is, like, at the end of the day, if he wasn't who he was, we wouldn't know this family like we do. Like, people can say what they want to say, but he put his family on the map. And I'm not in any way trying to knock the people I'm about to bring up as an example, because I respect that hustle too. But in the era of the Kardashians, for a black man to put a predominantly black family on the map for just playing sports that may build their own empire, like, how can I not respect that? So if it wasn't, I mean, he's made a lot of mistakes. He's made a lot of missteps, I'll say. But at the end of the day, like, if he wasn't him and he didn't do what he did, his family wouldn't be in the position that they are now. I highly doubt all 3 brothers would have got signed to Roc Nation had the father not put everything in place and not put them on the radar, even for some of their issues to be having a spotlight shined on it. But if he didn't make the first steps, I don't think they would have been where they are now. So,
unfortunately, right? Let's look at, so if we want to bring race into, let's just look at all of the big names, right? And it's like, you could be modded. Like I mentioned Dion, right? You can mention Floyd Mayweather. You can mention all these people who probably, kind of like us, like you in your circle and stuff. You talk a little bit, stuff like that. But creating that persona, them so much more revenue. It's like insane. Just what you said. Everybody, you wouldn't know them if he was, right? And so you take that, but then you flip it on his head, and then when it's another person, right? When Gronk used to be dancing at parties and getting drunk and stuff, they'd be, complimenting his dance skills. Yeah. And then Odell Beckham, he go and do a dance, he doing something, and then they like, oh, they trying to question everything about the man. So it's like, people will say, oh, well, yeah, you got to bring race into it. But it's like, well, show me when it's not different. Show me when when it's equitable on all fronts, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, but it's not important. All you gotta do is play the history of sports and all sports, whatever, right? And you get that's got a black bent in terms of like he got some swagger, he got anything that they identify with as like hip hop culture, pop, you know what I'm saying, like that. Then they like, oh man, he's just so cool and he's this, that, and the other. And then you show the other dude and it's like, oh well, he should tone it down a little bit. He shouldn't be so flashy. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's just the thing of like, you should be in your place and you should know that you should be here and this way, that. And nah, I'm not definitely going for it.
No.
So.
Well, LeVar, like, to me, I mean, he's like you said, when you
3 minutes 30 seconds.
Cool.
Like you see what he did. I mean, I gotta talk quick. Well, LeVar, you see, did you may agree or disagree, but from a male perspective and from a black male perspective, from a male perspective, like you said, this man in position his kids, he could to give them all the opportunities they could have in what they want to do. I mean, I'm not a father yet, but I can't imagine what else could you do than position your kids and give them the opportunities to live out their dreams. One, now you put as a black father on there, on a global, like you said, on a global platform, put his kids in position, let the world watch what he did. And it's like, I think even subconsciously, it's motivated so many fathers to be better or to be great because they're like, he was
Absolutely.
a pioneer. Like I said, he was the first person to do it. So you can look back and go, wow, like this guy, he got his kids here. Now, of course, I want to try to get my kids past them, but you like, I didn't know that existed.
I could do that.
I didn't even know I didn't even know there was an island there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but
how did someone, and like you said, this is not LeBron. This is, you know, rest in peace, Kobe. This is not Kobe. You know, this isn't a superstar player who groomed his kid. This was pretty much an average Joe dad, you know, who had a vision and lived it out. Go ahead. I know
2 minute warning.
I just want to add before it cut off real quick. Just 100% what Tracy's saying. And the cool thing is, like, so media will portray all the sports aspects or the entertainment aspects of that, but that works on all fronts, right? Like you can push your kids to be, you know, cure cancer, whatever it is. It's just taking that same energy because the talent is just putting that work in, right? And perfect practice and so on and so forth. You know, they'll dispel things like saying, oh, you should be predisposed for this and that. It's nonsense. You put the work in and you got somebody like pushing you and cutting that learning curve in half, then on all fronts. And that's why I think, like, to some degree, it's cool also in a way, maybe it's something we might do down the line, just highlighting other areas too, where this is done, where kids push, you know, Serena and Venus' dad did it, Tiger Woods' dad did it. Hear sports, we always hear entertainment, Jackson 5, you know, Destiny's Child. But then it's like, I'm pretty damn sure there's some academia ways out there as well, because that's just the thing. Like, it's so many ways to get it. You just got to pick one. But we hear about the entertainment, that's cool, but there's just so many ways where we could excel, just if we knew and had opportunity, that I think is important to highlight.
And we're going to leave it there, gentlemen.
All
right, thank you guys, and we will figure out when we're going to be back and do this again.
Show, man.
All right.